After winning the NBA championship in 2021, the light was shining super bright for the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo had been seen as the best player in the league across majority NBA talking heads, and they looked to be in prime position to win maybe multiple titles in the foreseeable future with the core three of Holiday, Middleton, and Giannis. But ever since that 2021 title, it's all went downhill really fast, and it's basically just spiraled out of control in just a lot of different ways. I'm going to give you guys the quick rundown of basically what has happened since they lost to the Boston Celtics in the second round in 2022. Chris Middleton, as we all know, got injured in that series. Basically has not been the same player since. Coach Mike Budenholzer got fired after their disappointing playoff loss to the Miami Heat in the first round of 2023. And then after that, things really went to go spiral out of control with them trading Jrue Holiday for Damian Lillard, which at the time was kind of a shock because nobody even really factored in the Bucks to have the assets to make a move like this, but they pulled it off. And it seemed like a huge upgrade for the Bucks, at least offensively. But the negative was, in the aftermath of this trade, in which Portland acquired Holiday, they then dealed Holiday to Milwaukee's biggest threat in the conference, the Boston Celtics, which gave them, obviously, their final piece to make them the juggernaut that they are today, and the defending champs that they are today. And you could argue that Jrue Holiday is like one of their X-factor players alongside maybe him and Kristaps Porzingis as to why they are the team that they are. The Bucks, ever since that day, basically just have never been the same since. They started off the 2023-2024 season with a record of 30-13. When you look at it, sounds great, right? Good enough for second in the Eastern Conference. But then they fired their head coach, Adrian Griffin, which, to be honest, I didn't fully understand because, yes, I know they had some issues, but it wasn't really like his fault why the team wasn't looking good despite the good record. It was really mainly on just roster construction. The defense was horrible, and it was just on their personnel. They were in a lot of these shootout games, getting into these 130 to 120 kind of games, and I didn't for 1 second believe that they were actual contenders to win a title despite them having that record 43 games into the season. Mind you, after firing Griffin, they then brought in Doc Rivers. Immediately, too. Was no wait. They just brought him in quick. And they've actually gotten worse since that happened, which leads to the present day, where they are 1-6 through the first 7 games of the season. They lost a few months ago to Indiana in the first round, but I won't lie, it was mainly due to the Giannis injury. I will be fair to them in that aspect. And Doc's record as the Bucks coach as a whole is 19-26, which, considering the talent they have on the roster, especially Giannis, you could argue is a top 3 player in the league. Dame is still at his best, anywhere in the 25 to 20 range. That's still good enough talent to make you a title contender, or at least a potential finals contender in the Eastern Conference when you look at the teams that are in that conference. And the Bucks just don't look like it. They just don't. They try to make some, acquisitions, getting Taurean Prince and Gary Trent Jr., but this team still feels the same kind of vibe that they did last season. Last season, the Bucks ranked 19th in defensive rating and 21st in opponent points per game. And this season, they're so far, I think, as at the time I was recording this, 24th in both categories. I don't know if they went down or if they went up after the most recent Cavs loss, but they were ranked 24th. And on the offensive end, they've so far declined. But I think that will somewhat improve considering that they have Giannis and Dame. But then there's the flip side. The duo of Giannis and Dame has been just a complete disappointment. They haven't really developed any major chemistry, even though in the last game that they played together in the home loss to Cleveland, they showed what it could look like when it really clicks because they both had great games, even though they still lost, which goes to show you just how bad the defense is on this team. But for the most part, it's just looked like it's just not synergistic. It's just two individual stars on one team, but they're not cohesive. It's not clicking for them. And another key point for this Bucks team is just the age. A lot of these guys are just like in their 30s. And they're not like in their prime in their 30s. Like Brook Lopez is getting old. Damian Lillard is more on the decline. Giannis, he's still in his prime years, but he's not getting any younger. It's not like he's 29, 28 anymore. This team isn't as young as it was. And obviously, did I forget to mention that Chris Middleton is out once again because he had ankle surgery from the offseason. So this team is just in a mess right now. The coaching is not that great. The defense is not that good. And I think the old age or the older age, I'm not going to make it seem like they are the oldest team I've ever seen in my life, but when you factor those things in, it makes sense why they aren't living up to their full potential. Brook Lopez, as good as he was, and as good as he can be at times, might just not be what you need, because you got him playing, and everybody always mentions this when talking about the Bucks, but he's a drop coverage big. He can't move his feet. And then you're adding that to their horrible perimeter defenders, aka Damian Lillard, and basically whoever else they got coming off the bench. And I know Gary Trent Jr. is not like a horrible defensive guard, but he's not like a stopper. He's not a guy that can make things happen. So it's like this Bucks team really doesn't have much going for it. Giannis is not like a great perimeter defender. He's more of like a guy that can come over from the weak side and alter shots and do those sorts of things. So it's like this Bucks team is just not where it's supposed to be. Offensively, yes, I think they'll get a little bit better because last year they were a good offensive team anyways. But man, it's getting really ugly because we're getting to the point where if it doesn't change, obviously I think Doc Rivers will be the first shoe to drop. But then after that, like, who knows what can happen? I'm pretty sure Dame would be like the second fall guy. They'll probably just blame it on him and be like, oh yeah, it didn't work. We'll just try to move off of him. But you have to start winning because I think the Giannis rumors that were in recent years flying around for no reason are going to be real fast. Because this Bucks team, there's not a lot of time remaining for them to really figure it out. They don't have assets to really make like a huge deal unless they move off of Giannis/Dame. So I don't know what's really left for this Bucks team to really do to improve the roster to the point where I can look at them and be like, oh, they're going to beat the Boston Celtics come May. I just don't see it. Right now, there's a bunch of teams in that upper tier that I think are better than them. And it's shocking considering that Giannis is still, when he's at his best, and actually you could just say overall, he's still a top 3 player in the league. You have a top 3 talent in the NBA and are struggling to win games. That's bad. But anyways, that's going to do it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about the Milwaukee Bucks, because right now it's looking really ugly and things can get really, actually uglier fast. This has been a checkup, and I'll see ya in the next video. Peace.